just a quick introduction to our next speaker. Gregor Wolbring has spent most of his career as a biochemist, working primarily on thalidomide derivatives, and in the last year or two, he's taken the big plunge. He's always been a leading figure throughout most of his career in disability studies, disability rights, disability activism, but the big plunge now, moving over to the other side, maybe not as big as the transhuman plunge you might take at some point, or already have, is to move over to critical rehabilitation and disability studies as his official affiliation and full-time job now at the University of Calgary. He has a slightly modified title from what we had before, which is up there, The Ethics of Realpolitik, the Realpolitik of Ableism, Ableism Ethics, Species Typical, Subspecies Typical, and Beyond Species Typical. Thanks.
This is the agenda of the talk I want to put forward, and has three areas. One is to give you more geeky sciences, more emerging technologies. And then the other one is Realpolitik of Ableism, and introduce ableism, which likely most people are not familiar with. And then to talk about ableism ethics and governance. So these are my legs when I was 18. Right? And you can see I'm not outrunning many people with that one, with that design. Nowadays just used for teddy bears. This is a newer version. This exists for like now 5 years. You can buy in Europe, but not here. And what you're doing is you have a little titanium rod, link it to the remaining hip bone, it fuses within 6 months, and then you have just an Allen wrench here, and you click on the rest of the leg. Your body really couldn't care less whether the extension of the bone is metal or whether it's bone, as long as the angle is the right way. Right? And this one is already outdoing the body. You cycling or volleyball, you have no chance anymore. Right? How many of you know this one? Right, these are the Pistorius legs. Right, the Paralympic guy who wants to outrun the Olympic guys, and therefore was labeled as that he can't use them because they're techno-doping. Here you see how it runs. Cool and smooth. As we don't want you to really amputate your legs to get the better ones, you have to deal with this one. You get an exoskeleton, which exists. And then in essence, your whole body is an exoskeleton. You can do all kind of stuff you can't do in the moment. You can already rent this kind of suit. This is a Puma ad. This is the future of your shoes. You can see the whole, I mean, here also these legs will be, this is kangaroo legs, or you want to call them, they're changing. Right, and Puma feels in this way they can sell the shoes of the future, I don't know. But you can see that we're moving along more and more, that the youth at least feel that this is actually the future, right? Where the normal body has nothing to do with the future. If I send you the video, the PowerPoint, you can go to all these URLs, the YouTubes, and you can watch these movies. Right, this is a moth from the defense agency in the US. And this one was equipped with a surveillance mechanism, so with a camera and so on, and you can remotely control this one. It's a living moth, lives through a normal life cycle, and you can use this as a reconnaissance drone. Right, so that already exists. It flies around, and you wouldn't even see it. And it records what you're doing, what you're saying, and so on. That's a brain-machine interface from Vancouver. Contrary to what North America, what the US is doing, most countries have non-invasive versions. You put just a cap on your head and then you read. So this is a Vancouver one. This is a Swiss one. This is another brain-machine interface from Audio, which is a Chicago company. And what they did is they translate thought into computer speech without any need for actually vocal cord activity, meant for people who simply can't speak. And it can actually, indeed, it can translate your thought over into computer speech. That already exists, was developed by the Center on Rehab in Chicago. And it will, of course, be dual use. As with most of these technologies, the gaming industry is very much interested in the audio system to increase the experience of the players, right? That they don't have to use their speech and they can just think and control. And the first brain-computer interface put on the market was also a gaming company called Emotiv. So it was not a medical company, it was a gaming company who put the first one on the market December last year. You can buy this, right? This is in essence, every single body part you can see will be very likely replaced eventually, or at least there's the ability to replace it. Every single body part, there's someone working on some artificial replacement part. And of course, once you replace it, there's no reason why you couldn't add things to it, like an artificial skin, where like you will have sensor systems embedded. Because there's no reason why the artificial skin should only do exactly what the normal skin is doing. These are just other areas. Like synthetic biology, for example, is a whole new design of life forms from the bottom up, base pair by base pair. Geoengineering, cryonics, telehealth. So there's all kind of areas which are on the go, which change simply how the body will be. Right? And it leads to all kind of questions. It's just a few, like Natasha already mentioned quite a few of them, like nature of being human, right? Human beings, sentient beings, body, mind, and so on. And I only covered today really about should we enhance or not, right? I mean, what is the reason for doing so? Because it's coming. This is from CDNet, and they in essence say the techno-doping was coined the term for the Pistorius, for him particular, because it rattled so much the Olympic committee that there is someone from the Paralympic guys who actually outdoes the Olympic guys. That's not the order it's supposed to be. Right? The Paralympic one are supposed to be efficient products who are second class. Right? They're coming after the Olympics, not outdoing the Olympics. Right? So they coined the term techno-doping, saying his legs outdo the normal legs and therefore he can't compete against the normal guys. Right? Despite that, of course, academically there was a problem with it, and that's why the Court of Arbitration rejected that. But it shows that there will be a change of guards. There will be a change of the way how you perceive your body and the relationship to others. Definitely to the deficient products called disabled people. And that was already seen in 2001. This is which coined the converging technology on the nanoscale. This was a National Science Foundation US report and workshop. And they could have chosen all kind of stuff what to do with technology, like saving mankind, global health, sustainability. And they choose performance enhancement. And they did this because they figured that is what I can sell to the government. They're not sustainability and all this. It might be good for some people, but the government will never buy into that. Performance enhancement, that's what we can do. And that's what they did. And indeed, there was very little outrage in the public on that theme, despite that there are 400 pages of, body 4.0, right? It's just amazing. Right? And there are many arguments against enhancement. We don't go into them, but you can see many. But we still, all the stuff before was about enhancement. It all changes the body as is. So what happens? The people who are against enhancement don't have the right arguments? Or what is going wrong here? Right? So is it decided so that it doesn't matter what you say, whether you want to against enhancement, it's just obsolete argument to be against it? Or is it simply the premise from there that building up the arguments against enhancement flawed? And that's the second part. And I think it's flawed, because I don't take into account certain basics, how we structure our society, and that's the ableism. The disability community uses this term, but I use it much broader. You can see it's really a set of beliefs, processes, and practices produced based on one's abilities, a particular kind of understanding of oneself, one's body, and one's relationship with others, of one species, other species, and one's environment. Right? The abilities you have and expect from yourself really defines mostly who you are in relationship to all kinds of different areas. And it's about really favoritism for certain abilities over others, right? Because you can't have them all, so you decide, like, this is important, this is not important, and then how you go on.